Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the back office. I suspect this will be potentially a two-part video because this gadget here is a TV Pong game with a remarkably long wire. Actually, just gonna there we go, unravel that. Need to do that off camera. And this is a Videomaster Olympic that was sent to me by Billy Sarsard, Impaled Griffin on YouTube. And I'm not sure what's the issue, even if there is an issue on this. And I haven't plugged it into my TV yet because, frankly, it's a bit of a ball ache to set it up with RF. I will do that, I promise. But first, though, I just want to have a look inside because I'm just sort of intrigued. So you might have seen my unboxing video of all the sort of calculators, and this was among them. And I was sort of slightly critical of its construction mechanism because it's basically a vacuum formed plastic, which is a kind of a, let's say, the lowest tier on the manufacturing ladder. In fact, I think I've seen recently some Kickstarter projects trying to sell little tabletop vacuum formers as if that's something that's a practical way of doing anything. The only practical thing for vacuum forming, I think, is making blister packs on SD cards that you can't open. However, that's my criticisms aside. This is the technology available to whoever manufactured this, the Videomaster Olympic. But come on, guys, look at that. The battery would have just wedged in. I mean, it is a bit crap. You have to admit that. Anywho, let's move away from the criticisms of the manufacturing techniques and focus more on what's under the hood. By the way, I'll just recap. I know I'm just rushing through. I think this is game type A or B, very stiff switches, probably level 1 or 2, probably start buttons, horizontal, vertical, not sure if that's to do with adjusting the picture or the holds, and then the speed of the game on, off. No sign of any speaker grates, so I suspect, don't know, most of these units from what I recall as a kid, even the later ones that were made by Binatone and Voltmace or whatever, a lot of them had speakers in the units themselves. They sort of battery powered option, and then they had speakers in the unit. So I'm not sure why they had so much difficulty getting the sound out onto the RF. But generally they didn't. Cover off. So there's your, again, battery rebate. Clearly you wouldn't want to take all those screws out every time you just want to change some batteries. The Videomaster 3-D 74C ICs only, so it's using 74 series logic, and it was made in 1975, well before I was born, and probably before a lot of you were born, I'm sure, you youngsters. Okay, so sliding out, because you've got those 3 pots on the side, and it's the only way really it can come out. Ooh, there we go, look at that. It's quite nicely made though. So it's a bit of a pain though if you want to to work on this. But let's see if I can just get this shimmied over. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Come on. Yes, there we go. We can have a nice old look at this bad boy. The bad boy of TV video games. So these are interesting looking caps, aren't they? Nice square capacitors. TV modulator. It says here battery 9 volts. So it's almost like they were kind of reserving this area just to sort of have your battery floating around, but I don't think the casing really was allowing for that. Sort of just wedge that in. 2 sockets here. I don't know if they're sort of joystick sockets. Maybe originally, yeah, I think they might have been, because you've got the paddles that are on part of the assembly, which are here with the button, and they're actually wired to where the possibly Atari style. I like, because they've sort of marked them off as a kind of a square, a D-shaped square. And I literally had the schematics for the Atari joysticks and paddles on my desk like yesterday, which I've since chucked, but we could have checked the pinouts. So if you're looking at home, you've got 1, 4, 2, 5 and 3 marked up on the board. Maybe they're the ones that they're considering useful. And I'll just double check how they're wired. Yeah, so these are kind of pretty much wired up to these different pins here. So H and 1, L and 4, K and 2, J and 5. or maybe it's Z and 3. I don't quite know. Well, I'll flip it over and you can have a look at the PCB. So any other chips of interest here? So there's a lot of this 74CO2, 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 74C00N, 74C00N, 74C02, 74C02 and 74C00N. So what am I looking at here? Is that how the game, I've got no idea how Pong games work. I've sort of tried to emulate Pong games using picks and stuff. But again, that's kind of just digital coding. I'm assuming that could these be the game? Is that how it works? I mean, that's presumably just the TV modulator can, and it is soldered, so I'm a bit loath to pop that open, but I'm pretty sure there's no IC on here, so it must be just made totally out of discrete components. Definitely no speaker on here either, so it may or may not have sound actually, frankly. It looks like there's not much here to really do with it, right? How can you, if you were going to add sound, you'd probably have to make another board if you're going to use that sort of technology. So I'm going to just zoom in so you can have a look at the back there. I'm going to hold it steady. If you want to take a screenshot, take it now. So that way you can have a look at that PCB. Maybe if you want to make your own, you can go ahead, copy that. Let's flip this around this way. There we go. Just bent that capacitor over my thumb, but he's alright. And that's this size. It looks like you could just make this as a kit. If you've just got these components, you should be able to just copy this. I don't think there's any processor or CPU on here. Should we have a look under the can? Go on then. I feel that we kind of owe it to ourselves. We've invested probably 7 or 8 minutes already into this. What's another couple of seconds getting that can off? Just going to try though to avoid breaking this. Yeah, Videomaster. I don't know anything about the old Videomaster company. But I'm not sure if anyone was around that time. Was this sort of, vacuum formed enclosure normal? I'm pretty sure, I don't remember it being normal myself. But then it was a long time ago, and this was a little bit just before my time. Maybe it was a trendy way of doing things. People watching The Good Life. Ow! Hang on, let me just check something. That's going to require a little bit more levering, so I've got to not only lever it but also solder at the same time. Tricky bugger. He's a tricky bugger for sure. There we go. Got that cracked off just enough. Whew. I really want to learn how modulators work, because I always wonder, there's always these mods for turning things into composite outputs from RF outputs and things, and that's probably a little bit more friendly with today's TVs. Ooh, there's a PCB in there, so it is actually a module. I think that can, it is a fully enclosed can. Let's turn this out the right way round. The VM3, space modulator. Not much in it though, is there? There's just basically going to be a power transistor, I'm guessing, and that's just injecting the signal straight out. But look, this is quite interesting. What's all this about then? So this is the signal, look, and it's doing a whirly 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 to that bit, which is coming in on that sort of earth groundy wire of the antenna. And then you've got this resistor here that's going to the case. Again, coming off that transistor, but then that bit's coming off. It's weird, isn't it? RF stuff's like black magic. Nobody knows how it works, I'm sure. And then there's another component poking through the case right here, which looks like maybe another resistor. See there? So whatever it's doing, I guess it's either its oscillating. You know, these capacitors and resistors are causing some sort of base carrier oscillation that's getting modulated by what's coming off here. Possibly, I'm really guessing. I don't think there's anything on the other side, but I could be wrong. We're not going to open it up though, everything's soldered internally to the can. But yeah, it's kind of nice though, isn't it, to just sort of look inside these things and find all these interesting labels and bits of writing. I feel we ought to pop this back on, shall we? Do we solder it? Yeah, go on. Let's return it as we found it. It's a bit like visiting a nature reserve, isn't it? Just taking, we're not leaving anything. Taking it all back. So I think it's more complicated than just sort of boshing something in there to get a composite output though. But I could be wrong. If you've done that before, by the way, if you've got your composite outputs just from your retro games consoles, yeah, give me a ping. I'd be quite interested to know how they work if you have done it. Presuming you know how it actually works. I think though some of those sort of modern chipsets might have, you know, they might be composite for everything and then just ow, 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 ow. Come on. It's sucking away the heat into my bloody finger. There we go. Good. I had to keep that held though because it wasn't quite as pretty a blob as I was going for. Let's get this all back in. So I'm going to try to get hold of a TV that'll tune into this. And the reason I haven't quite tried it with my regular telly is because when I've tried it before with these sorts of TV game systems, it just doesn't want to know. So if you've got the old Atari VCS 2600 based systems, or you know, old Commodore 64, whatever it happens to be, the TV just is refusing, and it's like, you know it's working, you know the device is working, producing the correct RF. It's just like the modern tellies just do not see it for what it is. And I'm quite confident it's got analog tuning in it. It's just the auto tuning and stuff like that. Just they're not happy. Let's leave it at that. They're not happy. I suspect if I look hard enough I might be able to find a TV with actually a tuning knob. I don't really want a tuning knob old school TV. Black and white TV. They take a lot of room, those CRTs, but I think I can find a telly I can coax into picking up these old RF transmissions somehow. Last screw's just not quite. Look how much manual effort must have gone into these, in probably just even the assembly. Oh, it's just, there we go. Come on, play nicely. That'll do. That'll do, pig. Brilliant. That's it. Pew pew pew. Pew pew pew. Hope that's been of some use to you. If you know anything about the Videomaster Olympic, please let me know. As ever, thanks for watching. I couldn't resist. I did try this on the only TV in the house that does support analog, but unfortunately it is a modern digital TV and it just was not capable of showing the game. I did tune it in. The switch between 1 and 2 did affect the screen. In that 1 I got 1 grey bar down the side of the screen, and 2 I got 2 big grey bars, but they definitely didn't look like Pong paddles. I suspect there's just some intricacies. It was probably really relying on the timing circuitry in the TV, and now it's digital, it just can't do it. These are indeed the horizontal and vertical hold, so I know that much, so you can adjust the picture directly. So it just shows you how integrally tied that sort of logic is to generating a picture, because you can actually adjust the picture through these pots. So yeah, I think it was relying on some of the idiosyncrasies of olden school TVs to work, but that doesn't mean it won't work. I'm sure some TVs will pop up that will run it.